Hi guys, how are you doing? Today it's a very pretty sunny day, so I've decided to make a ride, and I'm gonna explain you what is the real difference in living in Europe and in India. Especially, I'm from the south of India, and we're gonna compare the infrastructure. What are the benefits living in Europe, and especially I'm from France, so I'm gonna talk about more on the French culture. What are the things that we can do? So guys, we are out for a ride. Okay, there we go. This is the warm-up start, straight from the cave. We have a beautiful car today on the same direction. There's an Audi R8. These guys are from the Denmark. No, sorry, D. There's DE from Denmark and D for Germany. These guys are from Germany. Especially the sun is out, so people love to take their bikes, their cars. You can see he's got his top open. I'll go ask him for a raise. Huh? Il est joli, hein? So he's got a green car. It's cool. Ask him to accelerate a little bit. He's going to the right and we're going to the left. These guys are cool. France has three types of people, major people. Oh, there's another Lamborghini. Oh yeah. The summer is just started, and today it's about 22 degrees. I've got my t-shirt on, I've got another vest inside, and I've got my bike jacket, so I'll be safe enough and to enjoy the summer. We're gonna go for a ride, we're gonna drink some coffee, we're gonna talk about more about the French culture. We're gonna see how these people integrate. There's another tractor, but this is not really fun. This is Ford, an old one. It's cool. Let's go. There's things going on in summer. In winter, people used to get like chickens inside because it's pretty cold. You know, the temperature goes down at least to 3 degrees or 4 degrees. Then you don't tend to do a lot of things. You sit in your house and drink wines and have cheeses, and that's it. And Europe is so beautiful when the summer hits. There we go. Now. Well, I was about to say that there's three types of people. Once you have the French, the real whites, okay, and you have the Arabs, the yellow skins, and we have the Africans. These are the three regions, the major people out here in France, and the others are really minor. We can talk about Indians up to 2 or 3 lakhs people, about 300 to 400,000, 500,000 maximum. You don't have much population from India, because this is why, because the language that plays a big role here, the French. So what they did is people who migrated from Tunisia, Algeria, and from Morocco, they had this fundamental French knowledge, and in the schools they used to have some French, so it was an easy trade-off. After the colonizations, they all got a pass, a ticket to France, so they started settling down here. And even from Africa, from certain countries like Senegal, they speak a lot of French. So we have certain people from straight from Africa, straight from any other places on the French islands. They do come to France, they do settle it down here, and we don't have much Indians. This is because of the language, because the Indians, they prefer to go to US or UK rather coming to France or Germany or Denmark or Sweden. It's just because of the language. The real stuff is the things that we can make in Europe is huge than US. The potential is more huge than US, just because the rules aren't the same as US. So that is why people who are from Europe, they really seldom go settle down in US, or they don't go to Australia or New Zealand or any other places. Europeans, they stick to Europe, they don't move out of Europe, especially the Italian, the Spanish. You can see them a lot staying in their home country. They travel a lot. They wanted to see the world, they wanted to see what is happening. They travel a lot, but the thing is, they stay down to their countries. There's three things which I wanted to say, especially on the French culture or the German culture or the Denmark culture. There's three important things that you can think of. The infrastructure. We've got the best roads. The transportation is so beautifully designed. You've got buses connecting, trains connecting, flights connecting everywhere around. So you don't see any holes or any ditches around, because people pay huge taxes here. Don't think this is going to be free for cars. They pay taxes. They really pay taxes, and the taxes are treated in a pretty good way. I mean, they have a systematic way of spending it. When the election happens and the parliament goes down for a budgeting, they really separate the money, and each municipal, they get a certain amount of quota, and those monies are distributed to villages, towns and cities. So they are really responsible of keeping the city good in shape. Otherwise, it's going to be a hard thing. They're going to be fined. They're going to be really in a tough situation. The politicians are always controlled here. So the transportation, coming back, you have beautiful roads, great trains, the buses, and it's an excellent way of using transportation. The public transportation is totally good. So we have bikes going here. That's the signs that we got to do. It's pretty normal. So that's the biggest one point that I said. The transportation is phenomenal. I've never seen countries. I've traveled all around Italy, Spain and many other places. It's excellent that you can really take your cars, go out for a 4 hours drive, and you can see the tolls, especially the petrol bunks. Everything is pretty much organized. It's something like US, but it's pretty much more cleaner. That's what the best thing happens here. And the second important thing is the education. Compared to India, the schools fees are really 10% of what you pay. For example, you have a yearly fees of 70,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees. You're going to pay only 10% of it, or you don't really pay sometimes. It depends on if you're earning too well, like more than 4 lakhs, you got to pay 10%, and that's it. And if you're earning less, you don't pay that thing. So what happens here is, when your kid is born and when he gets to the school, you really pay 10% or more lesser than that in the government schools and the private schools. Private schools, you got to pay a little bit more, but it's still controlled. The government schools are really good, because Finland, they have the best world education. And if you think about France, they still have a pretty good, decent education, but your kids are going to not speak English right away. English is not the national language, so they're going to talk more French. They still have the second language is English, and the first language is French. So it happens like this. So what happens is, your kids was born and the education is paid until your 12th standard or whatever it is, 10th standard or 12th standard, and they call it as BTS and BTC and a lot of stuff like this. Every country has their own rules. It's pretty much covered. And when you go to the colleges, you go to private colleges, it's just like India. You got to pay the tuition fees, and that's it. And when you go to the government colleges, it's totally free. It's totally really that 10% or 15% that you got to pay for your books and living cost. Living cost is pretty much expensive. We're going to talk about that in some other video when we do a trip to Paris on Tour Eiffel. We're going to talk about the cost of living here in Europe, and especially in France. Yeah. And the best part was it's quite free. Okay. And the third thing, which is the major thing which everyone wants to listen, is the healthcare. The healthcare, really. That's the difference. I'm going to show you a card what I got. There's a kind of a green card that they gave me in France, actually. So what happens is, pretty much all over in Europe, except Switzerland, you got to pay some health care, healthcare fees or stuff like that. In the most of the European countries, your healthcare is taken care. If you're earning less, you have 100% of quota. For example, you have an accident, or you are having a disease of cancer. Let's put it this way: you have cancer, and you are getting into a treatment. And most of the charges, not most, almost, if you're not working, everything towards the government hospital is taken care by the government. And what happens here is, when you're working, they change a little bit. The government takes care of 30%, and 70% is the insurance. Any insurance that you have, So that's the insurance that takes care. Let's say ING, or I don't know, like Henair, or any insurance that your company is paying for. So they're gonna take care of the insurance thing. What happens is, if you're working, the employer is obliged, and he's supposed to give an insurance. If you're not working, the government has to take the 100% of the medical charges. And strictly on the medical charges, if you're just trying to, like, I'm sure that if you're going to make some luxurious stuff for your body, like taking out a skin and putting it somewhere, or the girls, they try to make the lips bigger, I don't know, any other cosmetic things, we put it that way, that is not taken care by the insurance card. Okay, so basically what happens is, if you get a cancer, if you get you're sick and you're pregnant, for example, and the government, they pays everything 100% in charge, so you don't need to spend anything. And this is why the healthcare is quite interesting in Europe, and people come for all these three things. When you have your best transportation, you can go point A to point B with using a bus or a motorcycle or a car or whatever it is, and you can get into time without any traffic. Or there's traffic, but on the highways you still can manage it. It's managed system, the infrastructure. And second thing is, the education is pretty much cheap, and it has a quality education too. People do really have some great education, and they come out of this. And third thing is the healthcare. And these are the major things, infrastructure, that the country gives. And later on, you have the best auto routes, and you have the best internet connections, and you have good houses. All these things are taken care. You have certain types of rules that you can get through. What is the real difference? Okay, India is still developing, and India is still doing all these stuffs. What is the thing that makes you really stay here is the process, the government process. Anywhere, if you want to take a driving license, or somewhere you want to take a passport, or you want to buy a house, or you want to sell a car, whatever it is, you have strict ruled process, and which is totally defined. You don't need to have any brokers in between to do all these stuff for you. I recommend certain brokers, but if you're buying a house, you have to really know what you're buying. So you have to have some certain legal brokers. These brokers are certified from the government. They cannot shit around or just waste some money out of it. So there's things which are regulated. So you cannot do any hustle left or right, or doing something else, So that's what clearly happens, actually. And these are the major reasons, like people who come from US, or let's say they wanted to go somewhere inside Europe and they love to stay here, is because of these regulated stuffs, you know. And totally, the last one will be the climate. If you're thinking about Finland, it is going to be cold, it's going to be moody, but the people are happy. And if you're up for it, go do for it. I have no problems on that. But Spain and Portugal are the countries that, if you are from India, that you got to think about on the temperature. For example, if you're thinking about somewhere you want to make money, you want to be rich, I guess Europe is not the right place. But if you're thinking about a safe, medium, upper middle class life, this is it. That's it. Because whenever you're rich, you're going to be paying taxes. We're going to talk about the taxes on the other videos. But when you're really rich, you pay more than 50% of taxes, no matter where you are. Like Switzerland is a little bit different. I've got not much details on it. Yeah, you absolutely pay a lot of taxes. So if you guys are thinking from India or US or anywhere around the world, these are the three major benefits that I benefited, and my family did, and many people did, and they don't want to speak about it because they don't want to have people coming inside Europe. That happens. And because the language is the biggest barrier, so you got to really learn the language. I did learn French, and I have good French friends who helped me learn these things. The French people are the lovely people I've kind of seen. They have a different mindset. They are more family oriented. They're not much into parties. They have parties, but in cities and cities like Paris, Lyon and Marseille, they have party, but it's for a short while. They have more respect for the family. They wanted to be with the family more, and you can see a lot of family bondings happening, and that's the best part, you know. And there you see the church out there. It's pretty long there. We're gonna go to the church. What happens is, this is the biggest town, and you have the villages. These are the, modern villages, smart ones, you know. These are the houses, you have the farmland, and you have the church. So every time in France, if you wanted to think about coming and saying, okay, I'm going to see a church, you have to really go to the center of the city and find the church. And beside the church, you will have all the shops around. And this is how it works actually. And you have roundabouts everywhere, so be careful with the roundabouts. Okay. Oh my god, the gloves. I lost one of the gloves, and I've got another gloves which is pretty much on my size, so I'm pretty much hesitated to put my brakes. I've got to buy a new one, so we're gonna make another video on buying a gloves. There we see you see the church there. I'm getting to the it's a village. You can see how organized the village is. This is a typical village, right? You have the farmers, you have people. These are the typical downtown villages. Yeah, let's get near to the church. And this is what I love about these things, is the roads, the people, the language, the culture. They have the church. Okay. This is a real typical small village, so we have the bus stop, but you don't see much people around. I feel that it's pretty much organized, you know. not supposed to do this. Goddamn shit. I'm doing it. It's 70 degrees, 70, I mean the speed says 70, and in below it was written Rappel. That means there's going to be a radar, which we just saw in the last video, you know. I don't give a shit. Let's blow this thing up. Come on, make me move. Red lights, red lights, red lights. Let's get cameras somewhere here. Just go. I'm not really sure where the cameras are. There's always some cameras, people watching. The guy got night tattoos. He is like a guy who takes care of the garden. What happens here is the gardening is done when you have a big real garden in your house. You cannot do a lot of gardening, and you need a van like this to collect all the leaves which you cut down. You cannot just throw it in a dustbin, the general dustbin. You have a separate dustbin there. So there's a lot of rules, you know. Okay, there we go. Woo. Oh, okay. I know this road. It's forest here. Let's go. Let's make this. Go, 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 go. I used to do a lot of cycling here, and this forest is pretty much beautiful. You can see people parking their cars and getting into the forest. I cannot get my bikes there, but still, you can get your cycles. You can do a lot of really forest cycling, walking, jogging, and it's the best time to do. You don't get any animals. There's certain type of deers, kind of pigs too. Yeah, the sound really comes up wobbling. I love the beat. One single pistol, just good for the summer. I think for the winter I've got to buy another bike. There's another Porsche coming down. The rich, filthy rich, they want to take the car. Those boys were young, you know, the Audi. Oh, lousy noise for a Mercedes. Oh, let's get to Marie Lavoir and get a coffee. And I'll explain more about what is the salaries, how you can come to the country. It'll be more fun. A lot of learning, right? Riding and learning, riding and learning. There's a train stop. There's a tram. Guys, I said just said you right. The transportation is really fantastic. I mean, I remember the station. There was no station like this. They just constructed a new one, and you see the barriers opening up. The train just left, and automatically it opens. You don't need a person here unless you have a problem, or you create a problem. Okay, there we go. I'm just trying to figure out with you guys. I'm not really sure where I am. I've got the GPS, but I don't want to use that. want to do it my way. If you think you want any more information about Europe, moving to Europe with your kids, I'm the right person to ask. I have a family out here. I did move alone, and I kind of learned this language. There's a lot of things that you can get into stuck if you're not getting used to the culture. There's some points that I can help you out or explain about, which I know in detail. I like getting in depth. Okay. My gloves are so hard that I can like get my hands out of my accelerator. Oh, working people just drop their cars and get to the trains. I'm gonna find a coffee, explain you a little bit more about this, and close up for the ride. And I'll see you next week, guys, on detail. The village is called Saint-British. It's about 40 kilometers from Paris, and I decided to stop down and take a coffee and explain you about more on the healthcare system that I spoke to you guys. Yeah, let's find for a place, quite one. There's pizza. There's some eggs. There's an Italian restaurant. So as I was telling you guys on the healthcare on the card, there's a kind of a green card that you guys have to apply. That's a security social number. When you come down to France, this is the first thing that you got to get, is try to get your security social number. Anything happens to you, that can help you out. So I'll show you kind of my card. Yeah, this is it. So I had a good ride. I'm getting back home. I'm gonna go for another coffee shop because this is my favorite one is closed. I'm gonna try to find another one and get another coffee shop. So see you soon. Stay tuned. If you like the video, like, subscribe and comment, and we're going to do some more city bike rides on Royal Enfield. Catch you up soon.